always be easy, and it may not always be comfortable. But I promise you this, on the other side of the silence, you will find a life that is more rich, more vibrant, and more fulfilling than you ever could have imagined. You will find a sense of purpose, passion, and joy that springs from the very depths of your being. You will find a connection to something greater than yourself, a knowing that you are part of an infinite web of life, love, and intelligence. And you will find the courage, the strength, and the resilience to face any challenge, any obstacle, any setback that comes your way, knowing that it is all part of the perfect unfolding of your highest path. So trust in the silence, my friends. Trust in the stillness, the quiet, and the calm. Trust that in the absence of noise and distraction, you will find the very essence of who you are and the very purpose for which you came. And from that place of trust, watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Watch as the pieces fall into place, as the synchronicities and miracles begin to unfold, and as the universe conspires to support you in every way imaginable. For in the end, that is the true power of silence, the power to unlock the infinite potential that lies within each and every one of us. The power to connect us with the very source of life itself, and to remind us of the incredible beings that we truly are. And as we learn to harness that power, as we learn to trust in the silence and the stillness, we become unstoppable forces for good in the world. We become agents of change, transformation, and healing, not just for ourselves, but for all those whose lives we touch. So let us embrace the silence. Let us welcome the stillness. And let us trust in the journey of life to lead us exactly where we need to go. Let us have the courage to face our fears, the compassion to forgive our mistakes, and the faith to keep moving forward, even when the path is uncertain. And above all, let us remember that we are never alone, that we are always guided and supported by a love and an intelligence that is far greater than ourselves. Let us open ourselves up to that love, to that guidance, and to the infinite possibilities that await us in every moment. For in the end, that is the true gift of life, the opportunity to discover who we are, to share our unique gifts and talents with the world, and to leave this planet a little bit better than we found it. And it all begins with a simple choice, the choice to be silent, to listen deeply, and to trust in the unfolding of our highest path. So take a deep breath, my friends. Close your eyes and let yourself sink into the silence. Feel the quiet power of your own presence, the infinite wisdom and potential that lies within you. And know that in this moment you have everything you need to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. A life of purpose, passion, and joy. A life of abundance, love, and fulfillment. A life that is truly worthy of the incredible being that you are. So let's embrace the silence, let's trust in the journey, and let's step into the lives we were born to live. Together, let's create a world that is more kind, more compassionate, more loving, and more beautiful than we ever thought possible. And let's do it one moment of silence at a time, one breath at a time, one choice at a time. For in the end, that is the true power of silence, the power to transform ourselves, our lives, and the world around us, one precious moment at a time. So be silent, my friends. Listen deeply, trust fully, and know that you are loved, supported, and guided in every moment. And watch as your life unfolds in ways that are more magnificent, more miraculous, and more incredible than you ever could have imagined. Thank you. Have you ever been told that kindness is a virtue? That being kind will bring you happiness, success, and fulfillment? Well, I'm here to tell you that kindness can actually ruin your life. Yes, you heard me right. Kindness can be your downfall. Let me explain how. First, when you're too kind, people start to take advantage of you. They see your kindness as a weakness, and they'll exploit it for their own gain. They'll ask for favors, borrow money, and expect you to drop everything to help them. And because you're kind, you'll say yes, even when it's inconvenient or detrimental to your own well-being. You'll find yourself stretched thin, exhausted, and resentful, all because you couldn't say no. I've seen it happen time and time again. People who are too kind end up being taken for granted. They're the ones who are always there for others, but when they need help themselves, no one is around. They give and give until they have nothing left to give, and then they're left alone and empty. But it's not just about being taken advantage of. When you're too kind, you also miss out on opportunities to stand up for yourself and assert your own needs. You're so busy putting others first that you forget about your own dreams and goals. You sacrifice your own happiness for the sake of others, and in the end, you're left with nothing but regrets. Second, kindness can make you a pushover. When you're always putting others' needs before your own, you send a message that your own needs don't matter. People will start to expect you to agree with them, to go along with their plans, and to never rock the boat. They'll see you as someone who can be easily manipulated and controlled. And when you do try to assert yourself, people will be shocked and offended. They'll accuse you of being selfish or unkind because they've come to expect you to always put their needs first. They'll guilt trip you into submission, and you'll find yourself right back where you started, a doormat for others to walk all over. I know it's hard to break out of this pattern. It feels good to be liked and appreciated, and it's tempting to keep doing what others expect of you. But in the long run, it's not sustainable. You'll end up feeling resentful, unfulfilled, and even angry. You'll start to question why you're always the one making sacrifices, and you'll wonder what your life would be like if you put yourself first for once. Third, kindness can hold you back from success. In today's cutthroat world, nice guys often finish last. To get ahead, you need to be assertive, competitive, and sometimes even ruthless. You need to be willing to take risks, to make tough decisions, and to put your own interests first. But when you're too kind, you're often hesitant to do these things. You don't want to step on anyone's toes or hurt anyone's feelings. You don't want to be seen as aggressive or selfish. So you hold back, you play it safe, and you miss out on opportunities to advance your career or achieve your goals. I've seen so many talented, hard-working people get passed over for promotions or big breaks because they were too nice. They didn't want to rock the boat or ruffle any feathers, so they stayed quiet and let others take the credit. They didn't want to be seen as cutthroat or competitive, so they didn't go after what they really wanted. But here's the thing, success isn't handed out based on who's the nicest. It's earned through hard work, determination, and a willingness to take risks. If you're always putting others first and sacrificing your own ambitions, you'll never reach your full potential. You'll always be held back by your own kindness. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, kindness can prevent you from being honest and authentic. When you're too focused on being kind and not hurting anyone's feelings, you start to censor yourself. You hold back your true thoughts and opinions, and you present a watered-down version of yourself to the world. But here's the thing, people can sense when you're not being genuine. They can tell when you're holding back or sugarcoating the truth. And over time, they start to lose trust in you. They start to wonder what you really think and feel, and they question whether they can rely on you to be honest with them. Moreover, when you're constantly suppressing your true self in the name of kindness, you start to lose touch with who you really are. You become disconnected from your own thoughts, feelings, and desires. You start to feel like a fraud, like you're living someone else's life instead of your own. And that's no way to live. It's exhausting, unfulfilling, and ultimately unsustainable. You can't be truly happy or successful if you're not being true to yourself. You can't build deep, meaningful relationships if you're not being honest and authentic. So what's the solution? How can you avoid the pitfalls of kindness while still being a good person? The answer is simple balance. You need to find a way to be kind and compassionate while also setting boundaries and taking care of yourself. That means learning to say no when you need to, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. It means speaking up for yourself and asserting your own needs and desires, even if it means ruffling a few feathers. It means being honest and authentic, even if it means having difficult conversations or facing some conflict. It's not easy, I know. It takes practice and courage to break out of the pattern of overkindness. But trust me, it's worth it. When you learn to balance kindness with self-care and authenticity, you'll be amazed at how much better your life becomes. You'll have more energy and enthusiasm for the things that matter to you. You'll build deeper, more meaningful relationships with people who truly value and respect you. You'll achieve more success and fulfillment in your career and personal life. And most importantly, you'll feel more at peace with yourself and the world around you. So don't let kindness ruin your life. Learn to be kind in a way that nurtures and supports your own well-being. Set boundaries, speak your truth, and take care of yourself first. Because at the end of the day, the greatest kindness you can show to the world is to be the best, most authentic version of yourself. And that, my friends, is how kindness can ruin your life if you're not careful. But it doesn't have to be that way. With a little wisdom and a lot of courage, you can learn to be kind in a way that empowers and uplifts you. So go out there and be kind, but remember to be kind to yourself first. Because when you do that, everything else will fall into place. Let me share a personal story with you. When I was younger, I used to be the epitome of kindness. I would go out of my way to help others, even if it meant sacrificing my own time, energy, and resources. I thought that being kind would make me happy and fulfilled, but instead, it left me feeling drained and resentful. I remember one particular instance where a friend asked me to help them move. I had my own plans that weekend, but I didn't want to let them down. So I canceled my plans and spent the entire weekend lugging heavy boxes and furniture up and down stairs. By the end of it, I was exhausted and sore. And I felt like I had wasted my precious free time. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that my friend didn't even seem particularly grateful. They thanked me briefly, but then they went on with their life as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, I was left feeling used and unappreciated. That experience was a wake-up call for me. I realized that I had been so focused on being kind to others that I had neglected to be kind to myself. I had put everyone else's needs before my own, and as a result, I was burning out. From that moment on, I started to make a conscious effort to balance my kindness with self-care. I started saying no to requests that didn't align with my own priorities and values. I started setting boundaries with people who tried to take advantage of my kindness. And I started being more honest and authentic in my interactions with others. It wasn't easy at first. I felt guilty and selfish for putting my own needs first. I worried that people would think I was unkind or uncaring. But as I continued to practice this new way of being, I started to see the benefits. I had more energy and enthusiasm for the things that mattered to me. I felt more confident and self-assured in my interactions with others. And perhaps most importantly, I started attracting people into my life who appreciated and respected me for who I truly was. One of the biggest lessons I learned through this process was the importance of setting boundaries. I realized that being kind didn't mean saying yes to everything and everyone. In fact, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to say no. When you set boundaries, you're communicating to others what you will and will not tolerate. You're telling them that you value yourself and your own needs and that you expect to be treated with respect and consideration. And when you do that, you create space for healthier, more balanced relationships in your life. Of course, setting boundaries isn't always easy. It can be uncomfortable and even scary at times. But the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. And the payoff is well worth the effort. Another important lesson I learned was the power of authenticity. When you're too focused on being kind and pleasing others, it's easy to lose sight of who you really are. You start to mold yourself into what you think others want you to be, rather than being true to yourself. But here's the thing, people can sense when you're not being genuine. They can tell when you're holding back or pretending to be someone you're not. And over time, that lack of authenticity can erode trust and connection in your relationships. On the other hand, when you're honest and authentic, you create space for real, meaningful connection. You allow others to see the real you, flaws and all. And when you do that, you build deeper, more intimate relationships based on trust and mutual understanding. Of course, being authentic doesn't mean being rude or insensitive. It's important to balance honesty with tact and compassion. But it does mean speaking your truth, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. Ultimately, the key to avoiding the pitfalls of kindness is to find a balance between taking care of others and taking care of yourself. It's about learning to be kind in a way that feels authentic and sustainable rather than draining and depleting. And the good news is, when you do that, everyone benefits. When you take care of yourself first, you have more energy and resources to give to others. When you set healthy boundaries, you create space for more fulfilling and reciprocal relationships. And when you're honest and authentic, you inspire others to do the same. So, if you're someone who struggles with being too kind for your own good, I encourage you to start small. Start by saying no to one request that doesn't align with your priorities. Start by setting one boundary with someone who tends to take advantage of your kindness. Start by being honest about one thing that you've been holding back. And as you continue to practice these new ways of being, be patient with yourself. Remember that change takes time, and there will be moments of discomfort and even resistance along the way. But trust that by being kind to yourself first, you're ultimately being kind to everyone else in your life as well. Because here's the truth, the world needs more kindness, but it also needs more people who are willing to be kind to themselves. It needs more people who are willing to set boundaries, speak their truth, and take care of their own needs. And when we all start doing that, we create a ripple effect of positive change that extends far beyond ourselves. So go out there and be kind, but remember to be kind to yourself first. Remember that your own needs and desires matter just as much as anyone else's. And remember that by taking care of yourself, you're ultimately taking care of the world around you as well. And if you ever find yourself feeling guilty or selfish for putting yourself first, just remember this: the greatest gift you can give to the world is a happy, healthy, authentic version of yourself. So don't be afraid to prioritize your own well-being, even if it means ruffling a few feathers along the way. Because at the end of the day, kindness isn't about being perfect or pleasing everyone around you. It's about being true to yourself and treating others with compassion and respect. And when you learn to balance those two things, you'll find that kindness becomes a source of strength and empowerment, rather than a burden or weakness. So let's all commit to being kind in a way that feels authentic and sustainable. Let's set boundaries, speak our truth, and take care of ourselves first. And let's trust that by doing so, we're creating a world that is kinder, more compassionate, and more connected than ever before. Thank you for listening to my story and my thoughts on this topic. I hope that my words have resonated with you in some way, and that you'll take them to heart as you navigate your own journey with kindness. Remember, you matter just as much as anyone else, and your own needs and desires are valid and important. So be kind to yourself and watch as that kindness ripples out into the world around you. Thank you. Imagine for a moment, what would your life look like if you were a millionaire? How would you carry yourself? How would you interact with others? What kind of decisions would you make on a daily basis? You see, the truth is, the only thing standing between you and the life of your dreams is your mindset. And that's why today I want to talk to you about the power of acting as if you're already a millionaire. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I'm not a millionaire. I don't have that kind of money in my bank account. How can I possibly act like one into that? I say it's not about the money. It's about the mindset. You see, millionaires think differently than the average person. They have a different set of beliefs, a different set of habits, and a different way of approaching life. And the good news is, you don't need $1 million in the bank to start thinking and acting like a millionaire. It all starts with your thoughts. As the saying goes, whether you think you can or you think you can't, your thoughts create your reality. And if you want to achieve millionaire status, you have to start by thinking like a millionaire. So what does that look like? Well, for starters, millionaires have a growth mindset. They believe that they can always learn, grow, and improve. They don't see failure as a permanent setback, but rather as a temporary obstacle on the path to success. Millionaires also have a positive outlook on life. They focus on the good rather than dwelling on the bad. They look for opportunities rather than making excuses. And they surround themselves with other positive, successful people who inspire and motivate them to be their best. But it's not just about thinking like a millionaire. It's also about taking action like one. Millionaires are proactive. They don't wait for opportunities to come to them. They go out and create their own opportunities. They take calculated risks. They invest in themselves and their dreams. And that's where the power of acting as if comes in. When you start to act as if you are already a millionaire, you start to make different choices. You start to take different actions. You start to show up differently in the world. So what does that look like in practice? Well, let's say you're at a networking event. If you were acting as if you were a millionaire, you wouldn't be hiding in the corner, too shy to talk to anyone. You would be out there, confident and curious, striking up conversations with interesting people and looking for ways to add value. Or let's say you're considering starting a new business venture. If you were acting as if you were a millionaire, you wouldn't let fear hold you back. You would trust in your abilities, do your research, and take calculated risks to make your dreams a reality. The point is, when you start to act as if you are already a millionaire, you start to embody the qualities and characteristics of a millionaire, and over time, those qualities and characteristics start to become a natural part of who you are. But it's not just about the external actions. It's also about the internal beliefs. When you act as if you are a millionaire, you start to believe in yourself and your abilities on a deeper level. You start to see yourself as worthy of success and abundance. You start to trust in the universe to provide for you and guide you towards your dreams. And that's where the real magic happens. Because when you truly believe in yourself and your ability to achieve your dreams, the universe starts to conspire in your favor. Opportunities start to appear. People start to show up to support you. Resources start to flow your way. It's like the famous quote from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. When you start to act as if you're already a millionaire, you tap into that boldness, that genius, that power, and that magic. You start to create a new reality for yourself, one that is filled with abundance, joy, and fulfillment. But I know that for some of you, this might feel like a stretch. You might be thinking, I'm so far away from being a millionaire, I have debt, I have bills to pay, I don't know where to start. And to that I say, start small. Start with one tiny action that a millionaire would take. Maybe it's setting aside a small amount of money each week to invest in yourself or your dreams. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you admire and asking for their advice or mentorship. Maybe it's taking a course or reading a book that will help you develop a new skill or knowledge base. The point is, you don't have to have it all figured out right away. You don't have to make massive sweeping changes overnight. You just have to start taking small, consistent steps in the direction of your dreams. And as you do, something incredible starts to happen. You start to build momentum. You start to see progress. You start to feel more confident and capable. And before you know it, you're not just acting as if you're a millionaire. You're becoming one. Because here's the thing. Being a millionaire isn't just about having a certain amount of money in the bank. It's about having a certain quality of life. It's about having the freedom to do what you love, to make a difference in the world, to live life on your own terms. And that's something that is available to all of us, no matter our current circumstances. We all have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. We all have the power to create our own reality. So my challenge to you today is this. Start acting as if you're already a millionaire. Start thinking like one. Start taking action like one. Start believing yourself and your dreams like one. And watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking, but what if I fail? What if I take a risk and it doesn't pay off? What if I put myself out there and get rejected? And to that I say, so what? Failure is a part of life. It's a part of the journey to success. Every millionaire, every successful person has failed at some point along the way. The difference is they didn't let that failure define them. They didn't let it stop them from pursuing their dreams. Instead, they used failure as a learning opportunity. They used it as a chance to grow, to adapt, to become even stronger and more resilient. And that's what I want for you. I want you to embrace failure as a necessary part of the journey. I want you to see rejection as redirection. I want you to trust that every obstacle, every setback is simply preparing you for something even greater. Because when you have that mindset, when you have that unshakable belief in yourself and your dreams, nothing can stop you. You become unstoppable. And that's the power of acting as if. When you start to embody the qualities and characteristics of a millionaire, when you start to think and act like one, you become one. It's only a matter of time. But it all starts with a choice. It all starts with a decision to believe in yourself, to bet on yourself, to go after your dreams with everything you've got. So make that choice today. Choose to act as if you are already a millionaire. Choose to think like one, to take action like one, to believe like one. And trust that the universe will meet you halfway. Trust that opportunities will start to appear. Trust that people will start to show up to support you. Trust that resources will start to flow your way. Because when you have that faith, when you have that conviction, when you have that unwavering belief in yourself and your dreams, anything is possible. So go out there and make it happen. Go out there and create the life of your dreams. Go out there and become the millionaire you were always meant to be. It all starts with a choice. It all starts with a decision to act as if. So make that choice today. Make that decision today. And watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. Because you, my friend, are capable of greatness. You are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. You are capable of living a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. All you have to do is believe it. All you have to do is act as if. So go out there and make it happen. Go out there and become the millionaire you were always meant to be. Your time is now. Your moment is here. Seize it, own it, and never look back. Because when you act as if you are already a millionaire, when you think and believe and take action like one, there's no limit to what you can achieve. You know, as I reflect on the power of acting as if, I'm reminded of a story about a young woman named Sarah. Sarah grew up in a small town, in a family that struggled to make ends meet. She watched her parents work long hours at low-paying jobs just to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. As Sarah grew older, she started to feel like she was destined for the same fate. She didn't have the money to go to college, and she didn't have any connections or opportunities that could help her break out of the cycle of poverty. But then one day, Sarah had a realization. She realized that if she wanted to change her life, if she wanted to create a different reality for herself, she had to start thinking and acting differently. So Sarah started to act as if she was already successful. She started to dress the part, to carry herself with confidence, to speak with authority and conviction. She started to seek out mentors and role models who could guide her and support her on her journey. And slowly but surely, Sarah's life started to transform. She landed a job at a prestigious company, even though she didn't have a college degree. She started to build a network of successful people who believed in her and her dreams. She started to create opportunities for herself that she never would have thought possible. And as Sarah's life started to change, she realized that it all started with a simple choice. A choice to act as if she was already the person she wanted to become. A choice to believe in herself and her dreams, even when no one else did. And that's the power of acting as if. When you start to embody the qualities and characteristics of the person you want to become, when you start to think and act like them, you start to create a new reality for yourself. But it's not always easy. There will be times when you doubt yourself, when you face setbacks and challenges, when you wonder if you're on the right path. And that's when you have to dig deep. That's when you have to remind yourself of your why, of the reason you started on this journey in the first place. That's when you have to surround yourself with people who believe in you and support you, who can help you stay focused and motivated. Because the truth is, success is not a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs, of twists and turns, of failures and triumphs. And the only way to navigate that journey is to stay committed to your vision, to your values, to your belief in yourself. And that's where the power of acting as if comes in. When you act as if you are already successful, when you think and believe and take action like someone who has already achieved their dreams, you start to create a new reality for yourself. You start to attract people and opportunities that align with your vision. You start to build momentum and confidence. You start to see progress and results. And before you know it, you're not just acting as if anymore. You're living it. You're embodying it. You're becoming the person you always knew you could be. But it all starts with a choice. It all starts with a decision to believe in yourself, to bet on yourself, to go after your dreams with everything you've got. So make that choice today. Choose to act as if you are already successful. Choose to think like a millionaire, to take action like a millionaire, to believe like a millionaire, and trust that the universe will meet you halfway. Trust that opportunities will start to appear. Trust that people will start to show up to support you. Trust that resources will start to flow your way. Because when you have that faith, when you have that conviction, when you have that unwavering belief in yourself and your dreams, anything is possible. And I know that some of you might be thinking, but what if I don't have the skills or the knowledge or the experience to be successful? What if I'm starting from scratch? And to that, I say everyone starts somewhere. Every successful person, every millionaire, every billionaire started with nothing. They started with an idea, with a dream, with a vision. And they didn't let their lack of resources or experience hold them back. They didn't let their fear or doubt or uncertainty stop them. They just started. They took one small step, and then another, and then another. And as they started to build momentum, as they started to see progress and results, they gained confidence. They gained knowledge and skills. They gained experience. And before they knew it, they were living the life they had always dreamed of. They were making a difference in the world. They were creating wealth and abundance. They were living life on their own terms. And that's what I want for you. I want you to have the courage to start. Even if you don't have it all figured out, I want you to have the faith to keep going. Even when things get tough. I want you to have the resilience to bounce back from failure, to learn from your mistakes, to keep pushing forward. Because that's what it takes to be successful. That's what it takes to be a millionaire, to be a leader, to be a change maker. It takes courage. It takes faith. It takes resilience. And most of all, it takes a willingness to act as if. A willingness to think and believe and take action like the person you want to become. So start today. Start small if you need to. But start. Start by setting a goal, by creating a plan, by taking one small step in the direction of your dreams. Start by surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who support you, who challenge you to be your best. Start by investing in yourself, by learning and growing and developing your skills and knowledge. And most of all, start by believing in yourself. Start by acting as if you are already the person you want to become. Because when you do, when you make that choice, when you take that leap of faith, amazing things start to happen. You start to create a new reality for yourself. You start to attract abundance and opportunities. You start to make a difference in the world. And before you know it, you're not just acting as if anymore. You're living it. You're embodying it. You're becoming the person you always knew you could be. So go out there and make it happen. Go out there and create the life of your dreams. Go out there and become the millionaire, the leader, the change maker you were always meant to be. Imagine for a moment that you could go through life completely unbothered and unfazed by anything negative that happens to you. What if insults, setbacks, rejections, and failures didn't get under your skin or bring you down, but instead rolled right off you like water off a duck's back? How much more peaceful, content, and in control would you feel? This isn't some fantasy or unattainable superpower. You can develop the ability to act as if nothing hurts you. You can train yourself to be emotionally resilient, mentally tough, and unshakably confident no matter what life throws at you. And today I want to share some key insights and strategies to help you cultivate this unbreakable spirit. First, understand that your emotions are a choice. No one can make you feel anything without your consent. Things happen, people say and do things, but you get to decide how you interpret those events and what meaning you assign to them. You can't always control what happens to you in life, but you are always in control of your attitude and how you respond. For example, let's say someone harshly criticizes you. If you tell yourself they must be right about me, I'm worthless and not good enough, then of course you will feel hurt and deflated. But what if instead you told yourself that person must be having a bad day to lash out like that, but I know my own worth and I won't let their negativity dim my light. Suddenly you take back your power. Their words can wound what you don't allow them to. It's not that you become a robot devoid of all feelings, but you get to consciously choose what you make things mean and how you let them impact you. You can acknowledge your emotions without being controlled by them or wallowing in negativity. Secondly, build up your self-worth and self-belief independent of external validation or circumstances. Have you ever noticed how confident, self-assured people seem unfazed by criticism, rejections, or obstacles? It's because they aren't relying on outside approval or perfection to feel good about themselves. If you base your whole identity and esteem on what others think of you or on always succeeding, then you'll be on a constant roller coaster and feel hurt anytime something doesn't go your way. But if you root your sense of self in your own values, efforts, and growth, then you'll have a stable foundation that can't be shaken by the inevitable ups and downs of life. Practice unconditional self-acceptance and self-compassion. Be kind to yourself and treat yourself like you would a good friend with understanding, forgiveness, and encouragement. Recognize your inherent worth as a person, not because you're flawless, but because you're learning and evolving. Build yourself up from the inside out. Also, reframe so-called negative experiences as opportunities to learn, grow, and become stronger. If you see everything that doesn't go your way as a personal attack or a sign that you're doomed, you'll be easily discouraged and hurt. But if you view challenges as chances to gain wisdom, hone your skills and reveal what you're made of, you'll be empowered. Think about it like going to the gym and lifting weights. In the moment, your muscles may feel strained and fatigued, but that temporary discomfort is what allows you to grow stronger. Similarly, adversity is like a weights training program for your mind, emotions, and character. It builds your fortitude and shows you that you can handle much more than you thought possible. When you face a setback, rejection, or failure, ask yourself, how can I use this to become better, wiser, and more resilient? What can I learn from this situation? How is this happening for me instead of to me? They say that the biggest breakthroughs often come wrapped in a problem. Look for the lesson and growth opportunity in everything. Along with that, stop expecting life to be perfect or pain-free. Many people subconsciously believe that if they're a good person, work hard, and do all the right things, then nothing bad should ever happen to them. Then when it inevitably does, they feel hurt, shocked, and like a victim of unfairness. But the truth is, pain is simply part of the human experience. At times, life will be difficult, losses will happen, people will disappoint you, and things won't go as planned. This isn't because you're being cosmically punished, but because you're living on earth as a mortal being. Expecting a problem-free existence is a recipe for frustration. Instead, make peace with the fact that negative experiences are inevitable and not a sign that something has gone wrong. In fact, your trials are often portals to transformation. Think of a diamond, it requires intense pressure to be formed. Without that adversity, it would remain a lump of coal. Similarly, your strength and brilliance are often forged in the furnace of hardships. As the Japanese art of kintsugi demonstrates, you can be broken open by life's blows and put yourself back together as an even more beautiful mosaic, cracks gilded in gold. Your healing can highlight your resilience. So instead of saying, why me? When challenges arise, remember the adage, why not me? You are strong enough to alchemize any adversity into an advantage. Additionally, be careful not to let your happiness and inner peace be dependent on things you can't control. So often we tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I have the perfect relationship, job, house, body, bank account balance. But there will always be another moving goalpost. And what happens if you get what you want, but then lose it. You're setting yourself up to be hurt. Yes, it's great to have goals and things you're working towards, but don't base your self-worth and well-being on outcomes outside your control. Root your joy in your own efforts, growth, passions, and contributions. Focus on what you can control: your thoughts, beliefs, actions, and attitude. External situations will fluctuate, but you can be the calm in the center of the storm. Speaking of external forces, another key is to stop taking things personally when they're not. We humans tend to be a bit egocentric and believe everything revolves around us. So if someone's in a bad mood or something doesn't work out, we assume it must be our fault or a personal attack. But the truth is, most things have nothing to do with you. Everyone is the main character of their own life story. They're usually focused on their own struggles, insecurities, goals, and responsibilities, not on plotting against you. If someone lashes out, acts rudely, or even rejects you, it likely has way more to do with their fears, stresses, and stories than anything you did. Depersonalize and don't let your mind spin tales that make you the victim. Along with not taking things personally, also watch out for self-defeating assumptions and limiting beliefs. Our brains are meaning-making machines wired to see patterns and problems. But often our minds will take a negative experience and generalize it into a sweeping story like I'm a failure. Things never work out for me. No one likes me. It's hopeless. Be careful not to draw broad conclusions about your worth and potential based on specific instances. Just because a relationship, job, or project doesn't work out doesn't mean you are fundamentally flawed or doomed. It simply means that one thing didn't go as hoped. Isolate the incident rather than globalizing it to your whole life. And look for evidence of your gifts rather than just ruminating on what's not ideal. Also, beware of self-fulfilling prophecies. If you go around expecting to be hurt, take everything personally, and see all setbacks as proof that you can't succeed, well, you'll subconsciously create more experiences that match that vibration. What you focus on expands. Instead, consciously look for evidence of how supported, capable, and resilient you are. When you face a challenge, remind yourself of all the times you've overcome hardships before. Collect real-life examples of your strengths rather than just dwelling on your doubts. Build a case for your worthiness and potential. In addition, practice acceptance and non-resistance. So much of our pain comes from fighting against reality. When something unwanted happens, we often resist it, get angry about it, complain, and wish things were different. But this only amplifies our suffering. What we resist persists. Denying what is only keeps us stuck. But if we can accept what's already happened, take responsibility for our role, and focus on what we can control moving forward, we take back our agency. We say, this is what is, now what we conserve our energy for positive action rather than draining it in negativity. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or not working to make things better. It simply means acknowledging current realities rather than being in denial or having a victim mentality. It means making peace with the present even as you're taking steps to create a new future. Fighting what is only creates war within yourself. Another powerful reframe is to see all pain as temporary rather than permanent. When we're in the midst of a difficult experience, it's easy to feel like it will last forever and we'll never be happy again. Our minds tend to catastrophize and imagine the worst-case scenario. But the truth is, all things pass in time. Life is in constant flux. No feeling or season is final. The very nature of our existence is impermanent. So if you're going through a challenging time, take heart knowing that it's not your eternal fate. Remember all the time